Far to the southeastern part of the mainland lay a group of islands known as the Kingdom of Pearl. Its former ruler, Sultan Caleb, had grown old and was no longer concerned with governing the kingdom. Unwilling to let his 3 sons fight to the death for the throne, he issued a decree in the hope that they would accept his will and prevent a bloody succession. By their father's will, the 3 sons obeyed the decree and agreed to divide the kingdom into 3 territories. They swore never to wage war or engage in conflict over one another's respective domains. The Kingdom of Pearl was ruled by the Maharlikas, nobles. The northern islands were governed by Raja Kidlat, the central islands by Raja Makisig, and the southern islands by Raja Nobakran. The hierarchy of the southeastern Pearl Kingdom are divided into Sultan, ruler of the kingdom. Raja, a prince, or a governor of a province. Datu, a chieftain, was either a Maharlika, of noble birth, or someone who earned the title through succession by combat. Maharlikan warriors. Timawa, citizen. Sultan Caleb also hoped that his 3 sons would continue to improve the kingdom's living conditions, advance its technology, expand trade, and defend their territories against foreign invaders. The 3 princes wholeheartedly accepted their aging father's will. 50 years later, several powers on the mainland began to take an interest in the Kingdom of Pearl, coveting its strategic location and abundant natural resources. Among the kingdom's most prized treasures was the aquamarine, a gemstone renowned for its beauty, exceptional durability, and widespread use in the jewelry of the Maharlikas, nobles. Legend held that the gem possessed the power to soothe and nourish the soul. Then suddenly an army of foreign invaders appears. A 10-ship carriers manned with 1,000 troops each, a group of foreign invaders, suddenly invade the northern islands. Killings, looting, pillaging the villages. On the balcony of a grand manor, a warrior knelt and began to report the events unfolding in the northern territory to an old man who stood quietly, gazing at the beautiful landscape before him. A hill blanketed with vibrant flowers stretched into the distance, while at its foot lay lush, fertile rice fields swaying gently in the breeze. To the left of the manor were large pools fed by an underground river and a crystal-clear cold spring, their tranquil waters reflecting the beauty of the surrounding estate. I greet the Raja. What's the matter? Speak. The warrior hesitated and unwilling to incur the wrath of the Raja Kidlat. He paused, then he spoke. Raja, the situation in the northern territory has gone worse. An army of foreign invaders suddenly appears and starts killings, looting, and pillaging the towns and villages. Scout says that 3 of the 12 provinces of the northern territory has already fallen in hand of the invaders. Dead bodies are everywhere, houses are burning. I see, Raja Kidlat said with a weary sigh. I expected this. I have noticed the growing number of foreign visitors, traders, and merchants arriving in our region. I believed we still had enough time to strengthen our army, expand our ranks, and prepare for what was to come. I never realized the threat would arrive so soon. Raja Kidlat let out a heavy sigh before falling silent, his gaze fixed on the peaceful fields beyond the manor. The beauty of the land only deepened his concern, for he knew that such prosperity would inevitably attract those who sought to claim it by force. Raja Kidlat dispatched an eagle messenger, summoning the aid of his 2 ruling brothers. 3 days later, Raja Makisig and Raja Nobakran responded and sent their elite troops. For 2 weeks, the battle continues in stalemate. And then 4 months have passed. Central Island, Raja Makisig territory. The training field was littered with the remains of broken training dummies. Some had been pierced clean through, others were sliced in half, while the rest lay shattered across the ground. A raven-haired youth wore traditional, multicolored Maharlikan attire that left his chest and shoulders exposed. Though still young, his physique was lean yet well-defined, with toned muscles shaped by years of continuous training. A wave-patterned tattoo stretched from his shoulder down to his elbow, while tattoos of a star, a sun, and a crescent moon adorned his upper arm. He practiced his swordsmanship on the training grounds, his blade cutting through the air with determination. A servant suddenly hurried over, bowed, and spoke in a hurried voice. "Datu. Have you heard? The Northern Territory has been invaded." The young teenager stopped mid-swing, his eyes widening in shock. Really? The people of the Kingdom of Pearl were born warriors. They were raised with unwavering loyalty to their homeland and unmatched valor in battle. They did not fear war, even at the cost of their own lives. To them, sacrificing oneself for freedom and the kingdom was the greatest honor. The young man fell into thought. If we lose our land. Worse still, our people could be enslaved, or even executed. A determined smile spread across his face. This is also an opportunity for me to test my strength and further hone my swordsmanship. I must go to my grandfather. At the Makisig clan compound, 14-year-old Sedge stood before an iron door, his knuckles tapping against it with nervous determination. "Grandfather," he called faintly, his voice barely carrying through the quiet hallway. After a moment, the door creaked open, revealing his grandfather's weathered face. Sedge straightened himself and explained why he had come. News from the Northern Island frontlines had grown increasingly troubling, and he wished to travel there to train alongside the clan's warriors. He wanted to become stronger, learn from experienced fighters, and help defend their territories against the threats gathering beyond their borders. His grandfather listened in silence, his expression growing heavier with every word. The northern frontlines were no place for a boy of 14. They were harsh, dangerous, and unforgiving, filled with battles that could claim even seasoned veterans. He reminded Sedge of his youth and the risks involved, urging him to continue his studies and training within the safety of the compound. Yet Sedge refused to back down. He spoke passionately about his duty to the clan and his desire to contribute rather than remain sheltered while others sacrificed themselves. The determination in his eyes was unmistakable, carrying a maturity that surprised the old man. For a long while, neither spoke. The grandfather gazed out the window, weighing the dangers against the conviction he saw in his grandson. At last, he let out a weary sigh and placed a hand on Sedge's shoulder. He admitted that he still feared for the boy's safety, but he could not ignore the courage and sense of responsibility driving him. With great reluctance, he gave his consent, provided Sedge remained under the supervision of trusted warriors and focused first on training before entering any battle. Relief spread across Sedge's face as he bowed respectfully. Though hesitant, his grandfather had agreed, and he arranged for 20 of his most elite and trusted subordinates to accompany Sedge, and they began their journey. On a ship, Sedge speaks to one of the Maharlikan warrior, a specialized nobility warrior. How many days do you think we can reach the Northern Islands? Datu. He was Datu Sedge, a warrior of noble birth. Raised by his grandfather, he had lost both of his parents in a tragic accident at sea while they were on their way to the mainland for a visit. I think it would be around 7 to 10 days depending on the weather we can reach the Northern Islands, a Maharlikan warrior answered. I see. Sedge walked slowly along the deck, gazing out at the sea. Several flying creatures soared alongside the ship, keeping pace with its steady voyage. After watching them for a while, he decided to head to the ship's training platform and begin his daily exercises. His weapon of choice was a long, thin saber, a style he had practiced diligently for years. Although the Kingdom of Pearl was a remote land, it was rich in natural resources. Because of this abundance, several mainland kingdoms maintained strong trading relationships with the Kingdom of Pearl. Merchants frequently traveled between the distant realms, bringing not only goods but also knowledge and culture. The long, thin saber that Sedge favored had originally been introduced by a merchant from the northeastern region of the mainland. Along with the weapon, the merchant had brought a specialized training methods and swordsmanship techniques. Over time, these teachings gained popularity within the kingdom, and Sedge dedicated himself to mastering the elegant yet deadly style. The long, thin saber, also known as a katana, is distinguished by its unique curved shape. This design creates a hard, razor-sharp edge for cutting and a softer, more flexible. The katana is renowned for its superior craftsmanship, sleek profile, and exceptional cutting capabilities. Sedge also carried traditional Campilon at his back and a Jinanting at his waist as secondary backup weapons. Then open an old-looking book consisting of katana sword techniques. The sword style, Hiten Mitsurugi Ryu, is one of famous sword style from the northeastern kingdom of the mainland. It focus on speed and instantaneous drawing and sheathing techniques, and reading the opponent's movements to counter them with precisions. This sword style is amazing. Compared to the traditional swordsmanship of the Kingdom of Pearl, both have their own strengths and weaknesses. However, based on the descriptions in this book, the execution and stances of this style are truly beautiful. He burst into laughter. Ha ha ha. Everyone has their own preferences. Why should we limit ourselves to tradition? What I seek is the beauty within these sword techniques. The Maharlikan warriors exchanged puzzled glances but remained silent. Without another word, they returned to their own stuff. Sedge continued to train day by day. Until day 4 of the voyage an unexpected storm washed their ship. The wreckage ship was unexpectedly washed to an unknown island. This island was not part of the Pearl Kingdom and it was not recorded in the map that Sedge brought. 2 days later. We finally managed to escape that storm, but unfortunately, we may not be able to continue our journey for a while. There is some damage to our ship, and it might take a few days to gather enough wood and materials to repair it, Sedge said. Datu. Look, we found a strange cave, one of the Maharlikan warriors shouted. Sedge immediately turned toward the warrior and looked in the direction he was pointing. Curious about the discovery, he ordered his escort team to accompany him. Together, they made their way toward the cave to investigate and explore what lay within.